to solve any water problem. WaterboyJAX.com.
If you're an experienced, skilled plumber or welder that's MedGas certified and you're tired of working for a company that just doesn't treat you right, Local 234 is the place for you. Their pay is the best in the business. You'll walk away with $35.09 an hour in your pocket. With benefits, that's just over $50 an hour. Local 234 has been around since 1901, and that means something. Visit UA234.com to send your resume. Local 234. Make the right connection.
Is your roof ready to weather the storm? Don't take chances with your home safety. Schedule a free roof inspection with the experts at Universal Roof and Contracting. Get peace of mind knowing your home is protected from the elements. Save up to $1,250 on your roof replacement, plus flexible financing up to 15 years. Offer expires July 31st. Call 855-ROOF-HELP or click universalroof.com.
License number CCC 057165, CBC 1258484.
Are you 18 years or older, just got married, just got divorced, or have children? Listen up. Have you done your last will and estate planning? If you have questions, call Matt Hinson with the Hinson Law Firm. Reach him at 527-1700. Office is Jacksonville, Florida. And don't let the state decide your fate.
This Date in Sports History is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On July 23rd, 1925, baseball legend New York Yankee Lou Gehrig hits his first of 23 career Grand Slams.
A lot of companies will tell you they're the best. At Custom Tree Surgeons, they show you every time. Custom Tree Surgeons has built an all-pro team. Every tree service professional has years of experience, continually trained and certified. They know what, when, and how to handle any job. It gets done efficiently and quickly by a team of experts. So for tree trimming, removal, stump grinding, and emergency services, forget any name other than Custom Tree Surgeons. There is no job they can't do better. Go to website CustomTreeSurgeons.com. That's CustomTreeSurgeons.com, and let them show you how the job is supposed to get done.
This is David Lane. After suffering through several painful injuries to my shoulder, back, and knees, I've taken my issues to Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, and without fail, they've been a tremendous help towards solving my problems. If you have any orthopedic situations, don't procrastinate. Take action today. Give those aches and pains to the pros at Southeast Orthopedic Specialists. You'll be glad you did.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Mark Watson with Hardball Creative. What's better than beer? Cold beer. Put your company logo on a custom koozie. Check them out at hardballcreative.com.
Hardball Creative. Hardball does it all.
There's certain places you know if you go in, they got what you're looking for, like Gate Convenience Stores and Cold Modelo's. That's the ticket. Or get on the craft side of things with something from Bold City or Sweetwater. Hit the cooler at Gate. Full of choices and all of them good.
If you're a veteran, listen up. Did you know that you can access up to 100% of your home's equity right now? Hey, Prosser here. You can do it with Loan Pronto's VA Equity Advantage Program. You can get 30, 50, 100 grand or more and use that money to pay off all those credit cards, personal loans, car loans, or maybe use the cash to do that home improvement project. Veterans love working with Loan Pronto because they make it easy. No junk fees, no hassle. They can unlock that cash in your home's equity in a matter of weeks. Don't keep paying insane rates on credit cards. There's a smarter alternative with Loan Pronto. Get more info and start the process now at loanpronto.com. Or if your current VA loan rate is over 6.5%, Loan Pronto can get you in a streamlined refinance with a lower rate right now with no income verification and no appraisal. Lower your monthly payment big time. Loan Pronto makes it so easy for veterans. So call now, 904-999-1508. That's 904-999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1666171, subject to lender approval.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it. Helmets and Heels is switched on by
First Coast Lighting and Fans.
Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor on 1010XL.
Allow me to set the scene, ladies. Allow me to set the scene. Back in, June, May, when our good friend Ty Dunn visited Jacksonville, FLA, he wasn't just visiting Jacksonville, FLA. He was also going to Miami to visit with the Miami Dolphins. And as we welcome Ty via the Garber Auto Mall phone line right now, Ty, I'll let you do the rest because after a early morning coffee date with one Christian Kirk, which resulted in one of the greatest profiles that I've read so far this year at golongtd.com, what exactly happened to you somewhere along I-95?
Can we carve out an hour or so?
It was quite the adventure, was it not?
Yes. So, in my infinite wisdom, I tried to. I mean, here's Christian Kirk, who's amazing with his time. Carving out an hour plus in the morning. So we finished up, and then I got in the old rental, drove down to Fort Lauderdale, Dolphins HQ, met up with David Long Jr., who has an unbelievable story. I still can't believe everything he's been through. Then got back in the car to drive back to Jacksonville to catch a flight at 5 a.m. the next day, which, long story short, that flight needed to be delayed because I got popped a flat tire, went off into the shoulder. I ended up being in that shoulder from about 8:45 p.m. to, 2:30 a.m. and got towed to the Orlando airport. And at the Orlando airport, then got a new car, drove to Jacksonville, got in about 6 a.m. I mean, that's the short version. It was harrowing. You're pulled over on the I-95. You got cars, it's like a NASCAR going over your shoulder. Not much you can do just sitting there, seeing that over your shoulder. But if a car's going to careen into you, you're not just going to zigzag, juke out of the way. But it was fun, seeing some possums scurrying around and, having various tow trucks and various people. Oh, the cops stopped. Yeah, the cops stopped and checked out. I mean, we ended up talking football for 10, 15 minutes just to make sure I was alive. But yeah, it was something else. But the glamorous life of sports writing, right, guys?
Yeah. And the crazy part about it is that day started with a coffee chat with Christian Kirk.
Yeah, Ty, next time take the 40-minute flight to Miami. It'll save you a lot of time.
Well, and on the drive down too, it was a bad omen. Right in front of me, a car flipped on its top and was in the medium. So it's like I should have looked at that and been like, hey, something's off here, let alone the conversation with Christian where he talks about being in the passenger seat of a car in the rain and smashing into a light pole.
Yeah. And that's obviously when we're talking about the article you wrote and a big part of that, but just kind of metaphorically what that meant for him leading into his injury. So I want to get to one of the parts that really, when we're talking about guys getting injured in a season, and we don't think about all the effects it has on the players sometimes, and not just because, they're not getting to play football, but we've heard a lot of people, I want to say it was Jamal Agnew who made the comment, Ty, that it's it's lonely because you're not with the team the way you normally are. You have to kind of watch them play these games without you, and sometimes you feel at fault for certain situations. But when you're talking to Christian Kirk, what was the vibe you got from him when he was expressing how this injury went and the recovery and kind of watching this collapse towards the end of the season?
Yeah, no doubt. I think that's kind of the reason I flew down there, too. It just, on a national perspective, it seems like we're not talking about this enough. I mean, the Jaguars were 8-3. Things are looking great. Now, it wasn't necessarily a pretty 8-3, but you're 8-3. I mean, you beat the Jake Browning-led Cincinnati Bengals at home. I mean, you're in the driver's seat for the number one seed, and as everybody down there knows, first play of the game, they draw it up, they get the coverage they want. Christian Kirk runs that corner out, and before the ball even arrives, the whole adductor, groin, ab, basically everything just tears off the bone, just rips to shreds, and he can't even move his leg. So everything went south from there, and now they're getting arguably their best player back. And I think it could change the whole AFC, and wrote about it there at golongtd.com for those who want to check it out. And to your point, it was lonely. I think it was really hard for Christian Kirk to be away. You're in Philly for 7 to 10 days with, that Dr. Watkins in Philadelphia who specializes in the core muscle surgeries. It's not so many players I've talked to who in college had like a hernia surgery and they got this slip shod mesh procedure, and DeMar Hamlin being another one of those guys. And eventually, they get hurt again in the pros and they got to clean it up. So he's in there and he's puking from the anesthesia and he can barely move. It's so hard just to roll out of bed. And he's got his fiance, now wife, with him, so she's helping him through it. But to sit there and watch your team lose, I believe it was to Cleveland, and then you get back to Jacksonville, but you can't really be at the facility because your wounds are still healing. It's tough, and I think that, he wanted to be a leader. He wanted to help Parker Washington and those young receivers, everybody in-house, and he couldn't even play. He couldn't even talk. He's kind of this distant veteran on the team who had no impact whatsoever, and he tried like hell to come back. I think, he might have tried to gut through that Titans game, but really wanted to give it one more week because he couldn't move like he could. And if they would have won that game, he would have played in the playoffs. So, alas, he'll be back at full strength 2024.
Ty, we often call receivers divas, but from being around Christian Kirk here and also certainly reading this Long Form article, it seems like he's the opposite of that.
Yeah, I think that's 100% true. He's been, what kind of like launched our whole conversation there is just the fact that he's been so humbled at every turn. And, I think that there are a lot of receivers out there who may have a similar story. But at no point has he ever really felt like he's arrived. He grew up in a militaristic household. His dad was in the Army Reserves and was discharged right before he was going to go overseas and was raised as such. I mean, it's a disciplined household. I learned a lot of lessons at a young age. And I just think from that car accident, that was really the moment he said first humbled him because, he's a freshman in high school, winning a state title, getting offers already to UCLA, Arizona State. Like, that's pretty young to be getting those offers. And maybe you start feeling yourself a little bit and thinking, okay, not that I arrived, but, how many college freshmen are getting scholarship offers? And then he's just kind of delivering those, we called them gold cards back in high school football, those little like coupon cards where you're trying to raise money for your football team. And they're driving around, him and some teammates. It's rainy, and he's in the passenger seat. The driver just tries to overcorrect, and he sees his life flash before his eyes. I mean, he had his world just slow down to a crawl, seeing that light pole get closer and closer and closer. And to survive that, and not only that, but initially the doctors think he may have like a cut in his brain, and to hear that he might not ever play football again. That I think that really stuck with him then and sticks with him to this day. That when you love something so much and it's nearly torn apart, torn from your hands, and you don't know what the future holds. I don't think he's ever forgotten that day. And there were several moments through college, through the pros, where he was humbled again and again and again. So it is different than the wide receiver story you usually hear.
You can find Ty on X at Ty Dunn. Of course, his prolific piece of Christian Kirk available at golongtd.com. A reoccurring guest here on the Garber Auto Mall hotline. He is Ty Dunn of Go Long TD. Ty, before we get into some of the other upcoming exciting pieces you have, and of course, a big picture look here on the eve of training camp for so many of the 32 clubs in the National Football League, I want to nerd out for a second. How do you find these stories, right? Like, I have a unique perspective on this because, you and I caught up before you arrived in Jacksonville earlier this summer and for this story, and we kind of ran through a couple different players and names. Do you go into this conversation with Christian Kirk having any idea that he almost died at age 15 and that would be the focal point, or rather the vehicle for this piece?
No, not at all, me, honestly. And sometimes that's the case. Sometimes you dig and you dig, and I always try to research as much as I possibly can. There's always going to be stories written and podcasts and stuff that you can learn ahead of time, and I did that with Christian. And, I kind of knew about him making liver smoothies in college from learning. Andre Ward, the boxer, kind of got him on that, but he had never really opened up about that car accident before, just like, David Long down in Miami. He had never talked about everybody in his life just dying one by one, and a brother who's in prison his whole life. He gets out of prison and is basically baited by these four women he meets at a gas station, back to an apartment, and is executed. Just harrowing stuff. So, how do you kind of get to that point? I think it's just having a conversation with a guy. They not everybody, but a lot of players enjoy sitting down and chatting at length. And I think when I kind of come to town, and this is a credit to the PR staff for kind of giving them a heads up, like, oh, here comes Tyler, and the bald, bearded fellow from Western New York is probably going to want to sit down for an hour plus, or in David's case, I think that was like 3 hours. So I think once you kind of get in that headspace as a player, and maybe you start kind of, dusting off some memories and, preparing that way. But then it's just having a conversation. I really try not to make it an interrogation or even like an interview. You're just chatting, you're just learning, and you just want to see where it goes.
Ty, truly one of my favorite things about having this job is getting to know that side of players, because I think sometimes we get so obsessed with the football aspect that we forget they're humans and they go through a lot of things just like we do in our daily lives. And when we're talking about that, the adversity side, and you mentioned in this article that you wrote that he also, when he got the contract here in Jacksonville, and I remember the uproar of the national media and of opposing fans of why did they overpaid him. He's a second, third string. He can only play slot. He can only do this. I don't remember the players being crazy like that, but I guess they were guys like a Jalen Ramsey, which whatever, he's a little salty. But some of these other guys who usually would be on your team, other wide receivers, were kind of mocking this deal. Is that something you've seen before?
That's such a good point, because I didn't remember that myself. Looking back at the instant reaction to a contract, I mean, I don't know. I mean, and I think I wrote a column the day that the Jaguars made all those signings, and this is smart. The Bengals did this year before. If you have money to spend and you believe in your quarterback, it would be idiotic to not spend that money. And hey, this is coming from a pretty fiscally conservative guy. My wife orders the $11 drink at Starbucks, I lose my mind. So I was like, you know what? This is good. Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram, Zay Jones, Brandon Sheriff. You should go out and spend if you intend to win. If you would intend to just kind of mill around and be a 6-7 win team, by all means. I mean, nobody in the AFC South will argue, but they went for it. And I was surprised to look back and see like a Jalen Ramsey and a Deebo Samuel, and even some other cases like an A.J. Brown, Tyreek Hill with the emoji, poking fun at it. Usually players want players to get paid as much as they possibly can. And now that deal has aged so well for the Jaguars. It's nuts. It wasn't really I don't have it right in front of me. I believe it's 18 a year. With the chance to be more than that, which would place him like 24th at the position right now. He's a lot better than the 24th best wide receiver in the NFL. So a great deal for the Jags. And I told Christian, you should probably ask for a raise here pretty soon, right? I mean, you probably should go in the office and ask for more money.
Well, that's the exact conversation we had with the Trevor contract. We're like, relax, because now Jordan Love's about to get paid probably more than Trevor Lawrence. So that contract was the highest for about 2 seconds.
I'm completely agree. And you've seen it. Like when he has Christian Kirk out there and when Trevor Lawrence himself is healthy, I mean, you've seen enough, even back to college, to high school. There's a reason he was the first pick, and you've seen it in the pros. I don't get the uproar over that deal either, because it's only going to go up as it should. It's the most important position in sports.
I also liked how you broke down really shades of Tom Brady with Kirk, that during football season, he's going to eat the exact same thing every day. He's not going to veer off of that. Like I said, that reminds me of Tom Brady and how maniacal he was. All right, Ty, as we let you go, what do you have coming up on golongtd.com?
Absolutely. Doesn't that just sound miserable, eating the same thing every day?
Terrible. Especially when it's liver smoothies.
I know. Oh, when he just like eat to live. I don't, or live, whatever the expression is. No thanks. No thanks.
Yeah, I love food. Thank you.
Yes, agreed. But yeah, we're going to have some more season preview stories up at golongtd.com. Actually, I was getting some more down there in Jacksonville too, so we'll get back to the Jags. And this week kind of took a look at the Stephon Diggs-less Buffalo Bills receiving core and get back to Jordan Love and the Packers, of course. There's a lot of stuff cooking here, and always just trying to take people behind the curtain and sit down with these players at length. So cannot thank everybody enough down there for reading and subscribing and supporting.
And that includes, of the various pieces currently up at golongtd.com, today's feature, which is a one-on-one with Brandon Beane, the GM of the Buffalo Bills. And so make sure you check that out, as well as, again, that tremendous profile that Ty did of Christian Kirk. Of course, that interview taking place just hours before Ty was stranded somewhere on I-95. It's a story. Christian's story in and of itself is incredible. That story of how the profile came to be is incredible. Ty, you know you are always welcome here in Jacksonville and, of course, here on Helmets and Heels. So we appreciate you for joining us, my friend.
You ladies are the best. Thank you so much for having me. Let's do it again.
There he goes, Ty Dunn, our guest, a reoccurring guest here on Helmets and Heels via the Garber Auto Mall hotline. And Ty will be pumping out those pieces, previews, because he did his training camp tour of sorts during the OTA period. Very excited, and especially knowing he'll be in the building in Buffalo a little bit more. He was among the first to break some of the news about some of the discontent with Sean McDermott's staff and company in Buffalo last season, and so excited to see what he churns out locally as well as nationally throughout this season.
Tyson Campbell got an extension done with the Jags today. We'll let you hear a few comments from him as he sat down with Kai Stevens of Jaguars.com. When we return, you are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Caesar is pleased to bring you the only undefeated champion in Roman history, the legendary
1010XL.
If you want to go big, you got to get low. With a low down payment and a low monthly payment during the Big One sales event at Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned. Mia here, and low payments means big savings during the Big One sales event. You can buy a pre-owned 2019 Toyota Corolla for just $1,000 down and $288 per month. Or you choose a pre-owned 2020 Camry, RAV4, or Tacoma for just $1,000 down and $388 per month. But this is the big one, so there's even more ways to save, like more than 100 vehicles under $18K. Is that even possible? It is at Arlington Pre-Owned. Want big selection? Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned has over 400 used cars in stock. You even get Arlington's 60-day exchange program. That's 60 days to love your pre-owned purchase or exchange it. Don't wait. Shop the Big One sales event at Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned today. 10939 Atlantic Boulevard and online anytime at arlingtontoyota.com. Visit arlingtontoyota.com/offer for full details.
Now you can watch 1010XL shows all day on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Brought to you by MyBookie. Experience Vegas from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere. Sign up today. Use promo code 1010XL.
Right now, you may be running a little late, or feeling stressed, or overwhelmed, and you may be going a bit over the speed limit. So to help you relax, exhale. Ease up on the gas. You'll get there when you get there. Take a moment to just chill. This little break is brought to you by Target Zero and the Florida Department of Transportation.
Guys, feeling deflated in the bedroom? ED, low T, no energy? If your stuff is broken, call 904-STROKEN or 904stroken.com. No shots in the first treatment, now free. Fix your ED at 904stroken.com.
Jags fans, the Jaguars are back at the Miller Electric Center for training camp. Presented by Dreamfinder. You won't want to miss out. Stop by to get the first look at Trevor Lawrence and the team as they prepare for the 2024 season. To check out camp dates and secure your tickets, go to Jaguars.com/training camp. Daily availability is limited, so lock in your tickets today.
How good is that?
Nick here for About 9 Associates, where you'll find Jacksonville's most esteemed eye doctors at each of their locations. After being selected for one of the most competitive ophthalmology fellowships in the world, Dr. Frank Bowden is frequently called upon for his expert opinion. He is currently one of the few cornea and external disease specialists in the area and the founder of About 9. Visit About 9 Associates today and experience the difference. About 9 Associates, keeping the First Coast focused.
Ready to drive away with a fortune? Join us at Best Bet St. Augustine for our Fairways to Fortune giveaway. Over $30,000 in prizes are up for grabs, including a top-of-the-line 6-seater golf cart. Join us July 27th at Best Bet St. Augustine for the big giveaway and hourly cash drawings. Come play and win big at Best Bet St. Augustine, located on State Road 207, seconds away from the I-95 exit. Visit bestbetjax.com for details. That's bestbetjax.com, and we'll see you in St. Augustine.
Soccer fans, don't miss your chance to see teams from the English Premier League compete in the Stateside Cup right here in Jacksonville. Competition will be fierce when Wolves and West Ham United take the pitch under the lights at Everbank Stadium July 27th. It's Premier Soccer at a premier venue for one night only. Tickets are going fast. Buy yours today at statesidecup.com.
Tired of dealing with clogged drains? What about bad smells coming from your pipes? You need to call Duck Duck Rooter, your plumbing pros in Northeast Florida. Duck Duck Rooter can help with any plumbing issue at your home or business. DuckDuckRooter.com.
The flagship station of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Do you have clicking, popping, swelling, or pain in your knee or shoulder? This can be due to arthritic changes in your joints. Over time, you have wear and tear of your cartilage. I am Dr. George Bari, and here at Bari Orthopedics, we have numerous ways to treat your arthritis, such as regenerative medicine, including PRP and joint replacements with CT guidance for accuracy down to the millimeter. If you are experiencing any of these symptoms, call us for an appointment today, or log on to BariOrthopedics.com.
Find out more at BariOrthopedics.com. That's BAHRI Orthopedics.com.
Brian Wall here. Would you take your paycheck, go to the bank, cash it, and then simply throw it up in the air? I didn't think so. But in a way, over the years, that is exactly what you're doing if you have old or builder-grade windows in your home. Even if you have a brand new home, those windows are not the best windows you can have to save on your energy bills. Window World has sold millions of replacement windows to homeowners like you, and Window World's customer satisfaction is the highest in the business. Please check Window World out yourself and save on your new windows and on your energy bills. Compare with other companies and you'll see Window World is simply the best for less. It's up to you. You can call Window World and get a free estimate, get the best guarantee in the window replacement business, save money on your new windows, and save more on your energy bills. Call Window World today at 904-443-7001 or go online to windowworldneflorida.com. Thank you for your business.
Window World also offers energy-efficient doors.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist Local Sports Update, brought to you by JEA. Training camp is officially here for the Jacksonville Jaguars with new faces to watch out for. Jags legend Fred Taylor spoke with 1010XL's The Drill on his expectation for rookie wide receiver Brian Thomas Jr.
You know, you go out and get, a receiver early in the draft. Obviously, you want to make sure he's the guy for Trevor and Trevor's the guy for him. And in that he's going to be able to move along at a very fast pace and hopefully be a starter, or a high contributor on day one.
Down at the rink, the Jacksonville Icemen named Brandon Mashinter the new head coach. Mashinter has spent the past 3 seasons in Jacksonville working as an assistant to previous head coach Nick Luco. It's 91 degrees at 1 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Light up your lunch with Helmets and Heels.
Presented by First Coast Lighting and Fans.
On 1010XL.
Taylor Dahl, Mia O'Brien, RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks. Tyson Campbell is a very wealthy man. Today signed an extension for 4 years, $76.5 million. And yes, he is the highest paid non-Pro Bowl corner in NFL history.
They had to throw that out there.
I was just about to say, it's those types of tweets from someone like Adam Schefter that riles people
Ian Rappaport. Well, we won't put that evil on Shefty. It was rap sheet.
Was it? See, once I see all the tweets that are all the same, I never remember between the two of them which one it actually is, especially if I don't screenshot it. All right, so Tyson Campbell did sit down with Kai Stevens today from Jaguars.com, and he was asked about, of course, that new contract extension.
This is a blessing. God is good. It's been a long journey. Been a lot of hard work. A lot of adversity. A lot of lessons learned. But just to be able to finally get it done and something you work for your whole life is. So I'm so grateful and so blessed. So I'm lost for words.
I feel like, man, he was just drafted here, honestly. I feel like we were just discussing the fact that Tyson Campbell was taken as the first pick in the second round by the Jags, and a lot of people thought, oh, they're never going to take a corner. They're set at that position, and now he's already signing the contract extension.
That's how quickly it goes, though. I mean, we talk about, and before Trevor's contract came out, and we were having that conversation of it went really quickly, or it goes really quickly from these guys are rookies, give them time, to you're a veteran on a team and you're getting paid, and now it's time for you to be the leader. And it happens fast for us. Imagine how fast it happens for them.
I'm just going to blame the pandemic for why my concept of time is just so skewed over the last 5 or 6 years. I feel like Josh Allen was just a rookie, and here we are. He's entering year 6. So, hey, anything is possible in the year of our Lord 2024. But it is wild to think that Tyson Campbell has inked a contract extension after being drafted in 2021 and is just 24 years old. That's the part that is most exciting. He is just 24 years old. We forget Trevor Lawrence, 24 years old, won't turn 25 until October. That's a very exciting window that we are about to enter. While, yes, these players will be paid and it will affect the bottom line in terms of cap space, which, oh, by the way, the Jags still rank in the top 10 for cap space next offseason. It's going to be fascinating to see how they continue to reward their own. Will they stick to that moniker, something that Trent Baalke talked about when he was first hired as a general manager?
Yeah, well, and I do think that's also a positive of inking guys early. Because when you are confident that you want to give them a contract, obviously you want that. But when you do give them contracts early to where they are still 24, 25, when that contract's over, they're still decently young. But the longer you wait, when, they waited a little long with Josh Allen, but the longer you wait, now when that contract's over, things kind of look a little bit different. But for Tyson Campbell, I mean, let's say this 4-year contract, he's going to be freshly 28 years old, and that's still fairly young when you're talking about, I mean, there's guys coming out of college that are 28 years old. So that's another benefit of being able to sign these guys early before they do, not waiting after 4 years, not waiting after 5 years, and going ahead and giving these guys money when they deserve it.
And I've seen it now a couple of times on the timeline. Patrick Surtain the second, not Patrick Surtain, the cornerbacks coach of Florida State. Patrick Surtain the second is going to break the bank. Yeah. Sauce Gardner is going to reset the market.
For sure.
You got in ahead of them. And I'm not saying you get an award for that, but that's just good business by Trent Baalke and company in the front office.
Oh, definitely.
And again, that's what they neglected to do with Josh Hines-Allen. And so now,
because he's 27.
Right. And so now they've seen, you know what, let's take that Braves model and let's pay our guys a little bit sooner than maybe other people think we should. All right, we just talked to Ty Dunn of GoLongTD.com about Christian Kirk and how angry some players were, and probably also jealous of how some players felt when Kirk got that big deal. So Tyson was asked by Kai Stevens of Jaguars.com, what was the player's reaction when he signed the extension?
It's great, just the guys that you share the ground with and are around so much, most of the year. So, they're family to me, and, just to see how happy they are for me, and, when they get contracts and wherever it be, make future or present contract, it's just always, heartwarming and, good feeling. So I'm truly grateful for them guys.
And that begs the question. We, as we alluded to off the top of the program, knew that this has been in the works for months. Mm-hmm. This was the inevitable next domino to fall. We know that we know that Trent Baalke doesn't negotiate contracts mid-season. Who's next? Who is the next agenda item?
Cisco?
I was about to say, Andre.
I mean, Walker
it's
Little
not going to happen until February.
I don't think it's going to be Etienne. I just don't think in the world of the running backs we're in now, not saying they won't try. I just don't think it's a realistic option. But to me, and that's why another reason when we're talking about the importance of kind of locking some of these guys down early, like Trevor Lawrence and with Tyson Campbell now, but you do have contracts coming up that you're going to have to think about. You're going to have to think about Etienne. You're going to have to think about Cisco. You're going to have to think about Walker Little. That's going to be a conversation that you're going to have pretty soon. And then right behind that, you're going to have Trayvon Walker, Devin Lloyd, Chad Muma, possibly. That's a lot of guys within the next 2 years that you're going to have to figure out who's worth keeping, who can you pay, who can't you pay, and what amount are you willing to spend.
And at what time.
Yes.
Because I could see a world. I know this is unpopular, but I just think at this juncture it's realistic. I could see a world in which if he does live up to the hot take projection of myself and Lauren Brooks, that Trayvon Walker has more sacks than Josh Allen and is in double digits once again, and he does, I know my number was 15, Lauren's number was 14. If he hits that number and takes the next step, I believe he will be the focal point, even with Andre Sisco and Walker Little entering contract years this year.
Yeah.
This upcoming February, the focus will be on how do we extend Trayvon Walker before he takes another leap in year 4, and now we're having to pay him out the wazoo. And that's no knock on Walker Little or Andre Sisco. I just believe the Jaguars believe that they have flexibility, whether it's through the franchise tag, whether that is through, negotiations, through goodwill, because you've proven that you want to re-sign your own. I think Trayvon would be the first to tell you he'd like to see those guys get paid first. But I just think if he does live up to those expectations, Lauren, that will be the focus next offseason.
Interesting. I hadn't thought that they'd be ahead of it that early with someone like him, because they do have, to me, Andre Sisco is the guy that they're going to have to pay next, especially if he plays the way that we thought he would in the NFL, which is translating to how he played at Syracuse, which is a ball hawker. Or ball hawk. And so if he leads the team in interceptions this season, then I think naturally he is going to be the guy. Do you give any?
Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, do you give any credence to the fact that they chose Tyson Campbell and Andre Sisco for the video for the Prowler throwback uniforms? Like, is that any sort of indication as to how they felt about? We now know obviously how they felt about Tyson, and we thought that was coming for a while. But is that also an indicator of Andre Sisco?
I mean, I think it's intentional in a way. I think that how much have we talked about, we just did in the beginning of this show, how important the secondary is in Ryan Nielsen's defenses. And so that's why, to me, Lauren, I also think that Sisco is going to be a conversation, and pretty soon, I would think, especially if, let's say, we get halfway through the season. We know contract's not coming halfway through the season, but if we're getting halfway through the season and Andre Sisco's being talked about that ball hawk, he's getting interceptions, we're talking about him as one of the better safeties in the league, Brian Nielsen's going to want to say, let's keep this guy because he's working perfectly in my defense. Everything's kind of flowing the way you want. You have some other guys, the younger guys or newer contract guys on the secondary, but you're still going to want to lock down your core.
I will just go off of what Devin Caravel, who was the social media director of that video, said, which is when they looked at the 90-man roster and they needed to pick 2 young guys who they knew would be actors and play off the camera and play off of our good friend Leon Searcy of XL Primetime, those 2 were they were we're going with these 2 guys. So I don't think it had anything to deal with the contract as much as we know that these 2 love to act. We saw it in the schedule release video last season with Asher Godman. And so we're going to go with Sisco and Tyson, and plus the buddy cop relationship that they have.
Yeah. It is interesting that they wouldn't go like a defensive and offensive, though, because you would think you would want the vibe of like both sides of the ball, because there's a lot of personalities on the team that you have. And so it is interesting that they went both
with those 2
that
guys.
side. Yeah.
I think it was just because their friendship and the buddy cop dynamic. I wouldn't read too much into they knew that like these 2 were going to be around for. I truly just think the social and video team was like, okay, who do we know is going to have fun with this video?
All right, last cut here from Tyson Campbell. Again, he was with Kai Stevens of Jaguars.com. He was asked how he feels about training camp.
I like training camp.
Okay. First day of school?
Yeah, get you back in the groove, lets you know that the season's near. And, you get to, put the work in. And so that when the season comes, like you train and prepare and able to have fun and excel. So
there you have it. Do you like training camp?
I like it the first 2 weeks. And by the time I get to week 3, I'm like, we're watching much of the same things. And not that it isn't important work come week 3 or week 4. Actually, week 3 of training camp this year will coincide with the first home joint practices since the 2017 season, which is a very fascinating development because we have not had that, largely because who wants to be in Jacksonville, Florida in the middle of August practicing? Yeah. Oh, wait, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because it's hotter down there than it is here. Yeah. And so I think that this year at least we'll have that to kind of break through the minutia and the mundane that it becomes in the dog days of August. But the first few weeks, absolutely. Yeah. We love being out there. I love it because I say, you know what? Do I really need to be working out in the morning because I'm sweating all these pounds away? I'm sweating my life away.
Well, and it is similar to school, like when she just said like first day of school vibes, because same thing, like the first like week of school, you're like, get to wear my new outfits, get to see my friends. Maybe I have, especially when we're in school, because you don't just like have you're not all over the computer all the time and talking to your friends all summer. So some friends you literally do not see. especially when like at Mandarin, there's 500 people in my class. So there's a lot of people I'm not seeing during summertime. And so that first week you're like, this is great. New outfits. I have my cool new like pencil bag and my folders that I'm excited about. A few weeks in, I'm like, all right, when's winter break?
I will say I was in the grocery store yesterday and I saw the school supplies like towards the front, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, I remember those panic attacks. Not really, but just that wave of anxiety of like, oh, summer's almost over and we literally have to go back to school. And like you, like I liked school for the most part. But yeah, I would say I love training camp. To your point, Mia, probably the first half of it, and then the second half, it's like, okay, we've pretty much now made our evaluations of everything, and I'm ready for real football. Yeah. And I've said many times I don't like the preseason, and it does look like we're trending towards 18 games, 18 regular season games, 2 preseason games, so that at least will minimize the preseason. We've gone from 4 to eventually 2. That'll be a good thing. All right, when we return, Taylor has a tangent. We have a giveaway from Chick-fil-A. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Helmets and Heels. This hour is brought to you by First Coast Honda Dealers,
the home of Jaguars fans.
Follow every play, interview, and press conference.
Duval came out, supported us, and that's what we need.
1010XL, the home of Jaguars fans.
Hey there, all you fun-loving sports maniacs, a.k.a. taco lovers. Don here from Taco Lou. I'm quite proud to say that we have the best staff in all of Duval.
Don't you mean Louval?
Say hello to Lizzie.
Hello, Jacksonville.
I suppose I do mean Louval. Say, Liz, what's your favorite cocktail to make?
The Double Barrel Margarita. It's Herradura, Tequila Reposado, Orange Liqueur, Orange Juice, and our homemade sour mix. We call it Lou Brew. Give it a good shake and serve.
Well, thanks, Lizzie.
Come in and hang with me at the bar. Taco Lou in Jacksonville Beach.
It's storm season, and JEA is committed to keeping you informed. In the event of a storm, we'll text and email you about the status of your services. We use Facebook and Twitter to post real-time updates. Our live outage map on JEA.com lets you track restoration progress. And as crews work to restore services, our storm outreach team will be in local neighborhoods to answer your questions. Because as your community utility, JEA is here to keep you safe and connected. Your community, your utility.
You don't have to be a football star to get a signing bonus. The team at Republic Services needs your skills, and they're paying up to $5,000 for you to join the roster. You'll be joining a winner. As an essential business, the Republic Services trucks have not stopped rolling with hourly and weekly pay and better benefits and vacation packages than the rest of the league. Driver trainees, $1,000 sign-on bonus. CDL drivers, $3,000. Diesel mechanics, $5,000 bonus. Join the winning team at Republic Services today. Visit republicservices.com.
Equal opportunity employer.
Now that's what I call high-quality H2O.
If you want high-quality water in your home at a fair price that won't scare you to death, then talk to someone who knows water and is not a pushy salesman. Contact your local water boy, Keith. I install premium equipment and can repair or even rebuild your existing system. In a business known for aggressive sales tactics, let me show you how my approach is different. If you've got any water problems, contact the water boy at waterboyjack.com.
Are you looking for a place to outfit your truck or van? It's Catlin Truck Accessories. For 105 years and 4 generations, Catlin is the name you can count on. This is Keith Catlin, and we know trucks and vans too, from Lear toppers, ladder racks, van shelving, strobe lighting, roll and lock bed covers, and everything in between. If you want quality products and great customer service, there's only one name. It's Catlin.
Who can you count on? Count on Catlin.
For 105 years, you can count on Catlin.
Every team has an enforcer.
Whether you like it or not, I'm a hard hitter and I'm a straight shooter.
Tommy Mack is ours.
I say it like I see it.
Fridays on Jaguars Today, brought to you by Renewal by Anderson Windows and Doors on 1010XL.
Do the Garber wiggle, Garber wiggle, 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 Garber wiggle.
If you're looking for a pre-owned vehicle with lifetime warranty, Garber Auto Mall can wiggle it. Best price, best payment, best trade-in value, Garber Auto Mall can wiggle it. With a huge selection of pre-owned vehicles, Garber Auto Mall can wiggle it. Visit us in Green Cove Springs or at GarberAutomall.com. And remember, at Garber Auto Mall, there is always a little room for wiggles.
Garber wiggle, Garber wiggle, 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 Garber wiggle.
Did you know a metal roof from Prime Roofing has the highest wind and impact ratings available? If you want a stronger roof, think metal. Think Prime Roofing. Learn more at primeroofingfl.com. That's primeroofingfl.com.
Hello, I'm Malcolm Anthony. I've been practicing criminal defense law for over 40 years.
It's what I love to do. It's what I do well. Stay out of trouble, but if you don't, call me, Malcolm Anthony, at 285-4LAW. 285-4LAW for Malcolm Anthony.
Hey, it's Matt Hayes. Take strokes off your game by taking pounds off your frame with Awaken 180. Between increased flexibility, strength, and endurance, breaking 100 or 90 or even 80 could be just 40 pounds away. Get there this summer with the solution for weight loss. Awaken180weightloss.com.
Clean air, cool air, both are extremely important. Trust Florida Home AC to deliver on both with their REME Halo, the next generation of air quality technology. Call 777-4300 for Florida Home AC and breathe clean and cool air.
The coolest thing going on right now is the summer fan sale with 3 ways to save at First Coast Lighting and Fans. Browse their huge selection of high-quality fans to match your desire for elegance, quality, and uniqueness. Buy 1 fan, save 10%. Buy 2, save 15%. Buy 3 or more and save 20% off summer pricing on all fans. Visit their showroom near the avenues while inventory is still available and discover the difference that locally owned expertise makes at First Coast Lighting and Fans.
Men, if you're suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE, Prime Men's Medical Center will get your sex life back in just 1 visit. Their painless, breakthrough medical treatments eliminate ED and PE. Here's a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Have Viagra or Cialis let you down? Prime Men's Medical Center offers the most effective treatments that eliminate ED and PE, with men lasting longer than ever. 98% of patients see instant results on their first visit.
Prime Men's Medical Center's breakthrough treatments will restore your sex life regardless of age or medical history. Your consultation and first treatment are free. Plus, you'll see instant results in the office. Plus, qualified patients will have their testosterone checked free. Call 904-902-8222. 904-902-8222. To regain your sex life in just 1 visit, call now. 904-902-8222.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
You're listening to Helmets and Heels.
Illuminated by
First Coast Lighting and Fans.
On 1010XL.
Me, O'Brien, Taylor Dahl, RJ Saunders. I'm Lauren Brooks with you on this Tuesday afternoon. Right now, Taylor Dahl has a tangent.
Now, Taylor's Tangent, served up by Chick-fil-A on 1010XL.
All right, I'm going to go over some of the wide receivers in the league who are this last season in 2023 were some of the top when it came to open target rates. And the reason I felt like this was interesting is because some of these names on the list, number one, you wouldn't expect, but some of them are on teams that we've kind of been like, what are they going to do? They've lost wide receivers or whatever the case may be. And there's been some concern surrounding who wide receiver 2 may be or who they're going to replace their number 1 with. So number 1 on the list is Detroit Lions' Khalif Raymond. So he had 43 targets. 42 of them were open targets, so 97.7 open target rate. And so a lot of this is obviously their ability to run routes correctly, create separation. Some of it also may be they're not getting that number 1 corner on them. And a lot of this list is why I think it is interesting, because a lot of this list is rookies or younger guys, maybe not the top receivers on the team, some of them otherwise. But in this article, they said Raymond gained separation on all but one of his 43 targets in 2023. He finished 3rd on the team target rate at 22.2% and receiving yards 489, while leading the way in yards after catch 6.7. Raymond gained 20 first downs, had 9 catches of 20-plus yards, and generated a team best 121.8 passer rating when targeted. That was just one of the interesting ones to me, because we've talked a ton about outside of Amon-Ra St. Brown, how much and Hawkinson or Laporta, how much they have there. And so it looks like they may have found another wide receiver in Khalif Raymond. We'll see. We always come back to guys where you're like, okay, well, once guys have footage, how much does it change? If they start putting one of their better corners on it, does it change? You're not going to take anybody away from Amon-Ra, obviously. So that one was interesting to me. Another one that stuck out is another team that we've kind of questioned what they're going to do with the loss of both of their wide receivers when it comes to Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis, and that's the Buffalo Bills, obviously. But 3rd best on this open target rate by separation is Khalil Shakir for the Buffalo Bills. He was, it said, former 5th-round pick, vaulted up the Bills' depth chart in 2023, securing 45 of 56 of his targets, generating a team-high 141.5 passer rating when targeted. Shakir gained 746 receiving yards, caught 4 touchdowns, forced 6 missed tackles, and had 10 games of 20-plus yards. He heads into training camp projected as Buffalo's number 1 wide receiver and their overhauled unit. Of the 11 receivers currently on their roster, only Shakir, 393 receiving snaps. Curtis Samuel and Marquez Valdez-Scantling saw significant playing time in 2023. So that was another one that kind of stood out. There's one, Kansas City, Rashee Rice. I think we all saw what Rashee Rice could do. Unfortunately, there's some other circumstances that kind of revolve around him. Zay Flowers is 5th on this list. And Zay Flowers led the Ravens receiving group in touches, 96, and generated a 111.7 passer rating when targeted. The rookie wideout was the only Raven to record a 1,000-yard season. He moved the chains 48 times and tied for a team-high 6 touchdown catches. Flowers also led the team with 444 yards after the catch, forced 25 missed tackles, and had 14 plays. This is, I think, going to be a massive part of if we see Lamar Jackson finally do what I feel like people have been waiting for him to do. Zay Flowers is going to be a large reason, I think, of why. Another one, 6 on this list is Cooper Kupp. I think most of us would probably understand that. Nelson Aguilar is 7 on this list. Another Raven. Jerry Jeudy is 8th, tied 8th on this list. I'm scrolling by some of these because I want to get to one of them. Juwan Jennings for the 49ers was T8th. Elijah Moore for the Browns is T10th. But tied for T10th is Indianapolis Colts Josh Downs. And obviously this is relative to here. This is another conversation we've had and maybe a topic I don't know if we'll get to today, but the article that you saw, Lauren, about somebody had the Colts surprisingly winning the AFC South. And I think this is why they already talk about Jonathan Taylor and Michael Pittman and what people are expecting from Anthony Richardson, but I also do think Josh Downs is a large part of this. Downs finished 2nd among Colts receivers in touches, 68, and a target rate of 24.5% in his rookie season. The former Tar Heel recorded 771 receiving yards and generated a team-best 99.2 passer rating when targeted. Downs gained 30 first downs and 10 receptions of 20-plus yards. He also led the team in missed tackles, forced with 9 and average yards after the catch with 5.5. And it said Downs could face competition from rookie A.D. Mitchell for targets next season, but should be entrenched as the primary slot receiver moving forward.
Where would we like to begin? Do you want to start with Detroit? Do we want to start with Buffalo? For you, I mean, this is an argument and a tangent regarding who emerges as wide receiver 1, who emerges as a secondary
Well, in Buffalo,
option.
I think that's definitely the conversation. I think they're expecting him to be that. By the way, did you see the video of Keon Coleman?
Oh, I mean,
not knowing
which
if
one?
he should sign his signature, what his signature was?
I did not.
Yeah. So they were like, he was like, how do I sign this? And he was like, what do you mean? And he goes, do I write my full name? And he was like, you put your signature. And he was like how I sign my autograph.
Do you have 2 signatures? Because
I guess he has like when he signs something quick on a ball and then like a full name signature, I'm guessing.
Oh my God.
But I don't know. They also don't learn cursive anymore. So I'm not sure.
I've always wondered that. Like, how are people going to be able to sign formal documents if
they
they
don't teach kids cursive. Yeah.
So that's a different tangent brought to you by Chick-fil-A as me at Keon Coleman's conversation.
Let's begin with the Bills, though, Taylor, because I think, yes, they need Khalil Shakir to take the next step with the absence of Stephon Diggs, with the absence of Gabe Davis. But I think if you look at this depth chart comparatively to some of the other teams that you just ran through, there's more bullets in the reserve and more tools in the tool shed than a lot of other teams.
Yeah.
I understand that Marquez Valdez-Scantling is not a 1. I understand Chase Claypool, Mac Hollins are not 1s. This is also going to be an offense that
Curtis Samuel.
I believe Curtis Samuel, not a 1. At the same time, we once upon a time said that about the Jacksonville Jaguars in 2022, and what happened there? Christian Kirk emerged as a 1. We saw Zay Jones take a step towards being a wide receiver 2. Marvin Jones already was a capable wide receiver 2. And
Keon can be, though, I think.
Right, I think Keon can, but is that too much to ask of him in year 1? So that's where you need Khalil Shakir to take the next step.
Yeah.
But you do have those veterans there that I think provide a buffer.
Yeah.
Additionally, I think that the Buffalo Bills will be running so much 12 personnel with the combination of Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox that, quite frankly, it's not really going to matter because Dalton Kincaid is as close to a flex tight end, more of a wide receiver than a tight end, as we've seen since Evan Ingram enter the National Football League. And so that's where I look at the Bills situation, and I agree. I don't think it's as dire as many people are making it out to be.
Well, and I do think this is one of those years when you're saying this is where you'll find out where Josh Allen actually is. Because I do think that we've seen some incredible things from Josh Allen, but I do think he's had that safety net of Stephon Diggs because we saw his numbers, and that was one of the conversations. Okay, when Jalen Hurts got A.J. Brown, look what his numbers did. Look how well the offense kind of just launched into one of the better offenses in the league. Same thing happened pre-Stephon Diggs. The Buffalo Bills offense did not look like that, even with Josh Allen. So how much can Josh Allen overcome maybe some of these lumps that may happen early with these young guys? And this is when we'll really get that tale of what tier Josh Allen is on.
Yeah, and that's the opposite for here in Jacksonville, right? Like, they have now surrounded Trevor, albeit two of these guys are new to him in Brian Thomas Jr. and Gabe Davis, but they've surrounded him with really impressive weapons.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yes, where they're asking Josh Allen in Buffalo to elevate the guys around him, and certainly you always want your quarterback to elevate the guys around him, but we just talked about the receivers, plus Christian Kirk, plus Evan Ingram, plus Brenton Strange, plus Etienne, right? Like, he's got guys that all can pretty much take it to the house. So he needs to be able to pretty much just dish the ball around, and then everything will go well.
Yeah, and as we move to one of the other teams you referenced, Taylor, I think it's the opposite in Detroit. I think that Detroit is being made out to be this next great team that is just so loaded and so deep. And I think you can make an argument that their wide receiver core outside of Amon-Ra St. Brown is actually a lot thinner than people realize. The absence of Josh Reynolds, I think, is going to be massive. Robert Mays documented this on the Athletic Football Show last week, that Josh Reynolds was among the most targeted in terms of actually catching the number of targets that he actually received last year. I think, was 9th in the National Football League. He was in the top 10. And that's, again, something that's based on the percentage of, he has less targets than Amon-Ra St. Brown, but he was able to haul in more passes. And you compare that to Jamison Williams, who, first-round pick, they're still waiting. He was obviously suspended for part of last season, so he couldn't take that second-year leap. They're hoping he takes it this year. Yeah. And hope's not a strategy. They need him to take that leap, even with Khalif Raymond perhaps being that next option. But you don't want him to be that number 2 option. You need Jamison Williams to step up. But in the same vein,
they're tight ends.
Right.
They both, Sam Laporta was probably a top tight end last year.
No, undoubtedly.
And I think people forget also how Brock Wright was pretty decent that year before, but obviously not decent enough to keep them from drafting Sam Laporta where they did.
Wasn't a top 5 tight end.
But they also have that run game too. Between David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, they have these options of guys that can also come out of, they can get the ball to in the backfield too. So that's the thing with the Lions, as maybe their wide receiver tiers aren't exactly outside of Amon-Ra where you would expect a top offense to be, but their offensive line is a top 3 offensive line in the NFL, and their run game could potentially be that, and their tight ends with Sam Laporta, I think, could also be up in that range. So they say we have enough outside of that wide receiver room and with Amon-Ra to make anything work.
And Jahmyr Gibbs, certainly a threat out of the backfield to receive the ball. Also a sneaky under-the-radar draft pick from the Lions, Sion Vaki out of Utah. Yeah. The safety, converted running back. He's listed as a running back on their depth chart. I think he's going to play both ways and be a special teams demon, but he's a guy who in the receiving game I think could make an impact as well out of the backfield. Craig Reynolds, still a much traveled but durable running back too. So yes, I agree. Running back room, elite, and it's stacked. But again, I just go back to, I look at that second, third tier on the depth chart for the Detroit Lions comparatively to the Bills. I think the Bills have the better wide receiver room for as much flack as they've received this offseason. I understand they don't have that guy. They don't have Amon-Ra St. Brown. And there's a notion around the National Football League that until
But neither does Green Bay.
Neither does Green Bay.
They have 3 guys that everyone's talking about could potentially start being that wide receiver we're talking about.
Because there's depth. So would you rather be the Packers and have this great solid room? I would make the argument that Buffalo has a solid room, even if parts of it are decaying, versus you have Amon-Ra St. Brown, but outside of that, it's pretty much unproven commodities across the board. Outside of, yes, an elite top 5 tight end, but it's not like he's Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid. The Buffalo Bills have 2 elite tight ends.
What I take away from the open target rate, a lot of those guys are in the slot. And so I do wonder how much that helps as far as those percentages. All right, we've got lunch for two, right, Taylor?
We do. Lunch on the ladies today to Chick-fil-A. Give us a call, 641-1010. Caller number 4, lunch for two from us.
There we go. When we return, we want you to hear from Bucky Brooks. He was joined Frank on the Frangie Show yesterday. Had some good comments on the Jags. We will be back on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
This is Helmets and Heels.
This hour is brought to you by First Coast Honda Dealers.
We got a great show for you today.
Join the 1010XL Podcast Network.
A big show.
Now you can find all your favorite 1010XL podcasts in your platform of choice.
A king-size show.
Mia here, and we've all been there before. A weekend trip to the casino, canceled because real life came calling. MyBookie's new and improved online casino, though, is here to change the game. Dive into a truly realistic casino experience featuring the latest in slots, progressive jackpots, and live dealer action, all from the comfort of your home. The live casino is so easy to use, folks. Just go to mybookie.ag and click Live Casino, third from the left on the top. You'll find live dealers ready to deal or spin, just like you're at the casino. The MyBookie Casino provides a Vegas experience where the action is in your hands. And yes, the rumors are true. You don't even need to wear pants. Start at MyBookie today with a generous sign-up bonus using promo code 1010XL and a revamped loyalty program ensuring a host of exclusive VIP perks. Sign up and hit the casino with promo code 1010XL. The more you play, the more you win, only with MyBookie. And don't forget that promo code 1010XL.
Prosser here. As you may or may not know by now, I did the research and decided to go with Jack's Concrete Coatings for my garage floor. OMG, as the kids would say. I can't begin to tell you how good it looks, how happy we are. We brag on it anytime someone walks in the garage. They had the job finished in one day with a lifetime warranty. That's right. As the certified Pintech dealer for North Florida, the only company offering pure polyurea, I can't wait to do my patio deck next. Call 862-2000. That's the number, 862-2000, or jacksconcretecoatings.com.
Guys, feeling deflated in the bedroom? ED, low T, no energy? If your stuff is broken, call 904-STROKEN or 904stroken.com. No shots in the first treatment, now free. Fix your ED at 904stroken.com.
When it comes to towing products, your safety on the road is the priority at Cannons of Jacksonville. Whether it's a heavy-duty tow hitch, trailer frame, wiring, gooseneck, tow bar, or any other towing accessory, Cannons has decades of experience to ensure your towing setup is installed with precision and reliability. Visit cannonsofjacks.com to explore a range of products and schedule your installation. Cannons of Jacksonville, your trusted partner for a smoother tow.
This patriotic chant mirrors the enthusiastic efforts our American athletes have dedicated to their quest for a gold medal at this summer's Olympics in Paris. USAPark.net Airport Parking is your safe and secure parking for when you fly out of JIA. No matter where you're going, whether you're traveling to the Olympics to support our athletes or just visiting Grandma, remember to park at USAPark.net.
Don't make a bad call when it comes to servicing your home. Cooling off with a baby pool in the house to fix your air conditioning problem is a bad call. Trying to catch a wave in a flooded bathroom is a bad call. Using a burning electrical panel to make s'mores is a bad call. The next time something goes wrong, make a good call to Donovan.
Whether you need air, electric, or plumbing service, Donovan is always a good call. It's why we've been trusted by our customers for almost 40 years and why you can trust us to deliver fast, reliable service to your home. Donovan, always a good call.
Visit DonovanAC.com today.
Seminoles, yes. Hurricanes, yes. 1010XL brings the Atlantic Coast Conference to the First Coast. It's the ACC kickoff in Charlotte. Brought to you by the Plumbers and Pipefitters Local Union 234.
And Salvatore's Pizza at Tapestry Park.
Find your why and your next career move at the First Coast YMCA. Everyone can get involved and make a difference in your community at the Y. And if you'd like to turn your passion into a fulfilling career, the Y is an equal opportunity employer and is now hiring youth program leaders, lifeguards, swim instructors, and more. Plus, Y staff enjoy benefits including free YMCA membership and free childcare while you work. Find your passion, find your why in a career at fcymca.org.
Hey, Hicken here. I couldn't be any happier than to join the George Moore Chevrolet family. When I say family, I mean it. Visit their beautiful showroom today off Atlantic Boulevard. Find out exactly what I'm talking about. No pressure, just friendly help. And whether you want a car, a truck, SUV, SUV, electric, pre-owned, you name it, George Moore Chevrolet has it. And if you can't make it over to Atlantic Boulevard, no problem. MooreChevy.com is easy to navigate as any site you will try. It's never been more easy to use. George Moore Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
My friends swim no matter the season, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis can sometimes take me out of the moment. Now, thanks to Skyrizi and clear skin, count me in. With Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Catch all the interviews and analysis of this year's ACC kickoff.
Sold out crowd, go Campbell Stadium.
Coverage on 1010XL is brought to you by the Plumbers and Pipe Fitters, Local Union 234, and Salvatore's Pizza at Tapestry Park.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
This is Helmets and Heels.
Kept classy by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
On 1010XL.
Leo O'Brien, Taylor Dollar, Jay Saunders. I'm Lauren Brooks, jamming out to a little Florida Georgia line, and we have some breaking news.
That just happened. Brought to you by Florida Home AC, the official air conditioning partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
No, the Jaguars have not signed a player to another contract extension, but a player that it was floated the Jaguars could have interest in will be reporting to training camp with his current outfit. That is one 49ers wide receiver Brandon Ayuk, despite the trade request back last week, despite all those contract talks that have gone nowhere since May. Ayuk is expected to report to San Francisco training camp later today.
Yeah, I think yesterday all three of us were like, that was one of the ones that we would guess was going to hold out, and I guess not. But I do think, I know money for these guys, they want to feel like they're getting contracts that they deserve. But at the same time, I think sometimes they take a look around, and the 49ers are probably like, we are one of the best teams in the NFC, and he's probably thinking I could go somewhere else and very quickly not be on one of the best teams in the NFC.
And meanwhile, Hassan Reddick, who was traded from the Eagles to the Jets, essentially in a player swap for Bryce Huff, is not reporting to Jets training camp, even though no offense, but I would say Brandon Ayuk has more to say in terms of, hey, like, we've been trying to get this done. My camp's been pushing for this. We've floated trade rumors. We've leaked stuff out there to the media, and yet the Niners and him say, okay, whatever. We just got to keep on keeping on. And yet Hassan Reddick is disappointed and sitting out of Jets training camp.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, we predicted yesterday that Ayuk would not report to training camp. And so the fact that he is, I think, shows, at least to me, that there have been maybe some behind closed doors conversations of, all right, we are going to work with you to get you the money eventually. We just can't do it right now based off of how many other guys we're paying.
And Mike Garafolo reporting Ayuk has arrived to 49ers training camp. I'm most curious how this affects CeeDee Lamb. Will he actually be in-house for the start of Dallas Cowboys training camp in Oxnard, California? I also think while they're different positions, they certainly are inching closer and closer to the same price threshold. How does this affect Tua Tagovailoa and a potential holdout from Tyreek Hill as well down in Miami? Yeah. I don't think Tyreek Hill is going to hold out. I am curious with the decision by Jordan Love and his camp if that affects Tua Tagovailoa, and if he does not at least go to the on-field portion of workouts down in Miami. But it's curious to see, especially, we live in a world in which once upon a time Le'Veon Bell held out and the Steelers said, bet.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Whatever. Have fun sitting on the sideline and incurring all the fines that come along with it.
And isn't it nice that here we don't even have to be wondering if someone's going to hold out? We know pretty much everyone's going to be there, I suppose, unless it's for some sort of personal reasons. All right, so Bucky Brooks did join Frank on the Frangie Show yesterday. Bucky, of course, of NFL Network and the sideline reporter for Jaguars Radio. And he was asked about Trevor and what he needs to do this season for the offense to be successful.
The next step for him is he needs to not
knock on the door of being a top 5 player at his position in the league. Meaning we need to be able to talk about Trevor like people talk about Pat Mahomes and Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson and those elite guys, how they talk about their ability to put the team on their back and to raise the level of performance in key moments. So for Trevor Lawrence to be able to do that, he doesn't have to do much different than what he's done. But what he has to be is consistent. And so being the franchise guy doesn't mean that every game you have to put it on your shoulders. You got to make these remarkable plays. But what it does mean is 3 to 4 passes a game, they need to be wild throws that reminds everyone in the stadium why he's special and why we're willing to pay him what we're paying him, because he's one of those elite guys. And for Trevor to do that is really important that Press Taylor and Doug Peterson dig down deep over the first 2 years of tape and figure out, hey, man, number 16 is at his best when he does these handful of concepts. Let's find a way to make sure that the game plan features those things. We dress him up, but let's make sure that we allow him to do what he does really well and don't ask him to do stuff outside of that. Because
while we react to that, RJ, if you could just pull up and be ready with Dan Orlovsky on the Pat McAfee show a little less than an hour ago, reacting to this same subject of what does Trevor Lawrence have to do to prove that he deserves a contract, that he is a top 10 quarterback. Because I think pairing and looking at those two reactions from two of the preeminent NFL analysts in our world today, I think that it's fascinating, Taylor. It's fascinating because, granted, Bucky is much more in the building here in Jacksonville than Dan Orlovsky is. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, you're hearing from two guys, two different networks, two different parts of the country, because, of course, Dan's up in Bristol, up in Connecticut with the ESPN crew. But you're hearing that same familiar refrain, even though it's in a different light of, I believe in the guy, but I need to see X, Y, and Z.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think a few things stuck out to me in Bucky's comments because, number one, and this is what we should expect. He's not saying you have to be flawless and you have to put your team on the back and carry everything and do everything. I do think that there have been quarterbacks that have expected to be that type of guy, but you have a roster surrounding you to where the Jags now for this last few years have built pieces to help you because they don't want to put you in a situation where you're just kind of on an island having to figure things out by yourself. And so I think to that point, the reason that they don't believe that Trevor is that elite quarterback yet is because they don't maybe think he's that guy who can do that yet. But he's capable of, like Bucky said, make these 3-4 plays that every week we're saying, that was fantastic. That is proving to me that you are one of the best quarterbacks in the league, but you have to see that consistently throughout the season. But to your point, both Bucky and Dan Orlovsky both said they believe it's going to happen. We just haven't seen it yet.
I think Trevor does that already. I think
he has 3 or 4 moments.
There's a
but
few
then you have 3 or 4 Trevor.
It's like first half or second half, though, I think is a lot of time what it's been. And that's why a lot of people are like, he plays, Jags are down, and then he comes back in the second half, or Jags play really good in the second half, then it ends up coming close in the second half because he turns the ball over in the red zone or fumbles in the red zone. Those moments have to go away, or at least decrease.
Yeah, the situational football, that's one thing. We've talked about it a lot. Doug Peterson said that certainly right after the season, that's what Trevor has to improve upon.
I said it earlier, too. Mina Kimes and Field Yates were reflecting upon it, and they're like, and Mina said she did a deep dive, LOL, watching the Jags last week, and she was like, it's insane to think if they just catch the football, they don't have pre-snap penalties, and they don't fumble it, like, this is a team that wins 2 or 3 more games. Like, it's that simple.
Well, every team, I feel like, can say that pretty closely.
But especially the team in this town.
I mean, I would say even if they had the same number of turnovers, imagine if the offensive line protected Trevor, and imagine if they could run the football. Like, that one position group, I feel like, also led to not making the playoffs.
Well, and that's another part that stuck out to me when he starts talking about Press Taylor, what Press and Doug need to do. And I sent you guys an article last week or the week before where it was like the Jaguar that needs to prove himself the most this season, and the writer had put Press Taylor. And I think that because when it comes to offensive play calling, that was clearly some issues last year, and Bucky went into detail here. Like, sometimes they didn't do things to benefit Trevor. Trevor is not at the level yet where he can do anything. He's just not there. And so you have to sometimes give him that easy button. You have to sometimes fit things around him to his strengths rather than just expecting him to be everything like Patrick Mahomes is everything. He's not there yet. So you have to help him out a little bit as a play caller, and they just didn't do that whatsoever.
Push and press, baby. Let's compare and contrast Bucky Brooks on Trevor Lawrence entering 2024. Dan Orlovsky on the Pat McAfee show this morning on Trevor Lawrence entering 2024.
With the Trevor Lawrence thing, I love Trevor, massive fan of Trevor's, obviously unbelievably talented. Trevor's play hasn't warranted the $55 million a year salary. It hasn't. What they're banking on, and this is probably the first one in a long time, it feels like maybe Kyler's, where they're banking on, we're going to get in on the low end because what's coming is going to be so much greater than what we've seen. Now, Trevor's had moments of like pretty darn good, really good. We all thought he would take a jump last year. He was, I guess it felt like starting that, and then the injury happened to the knee and whatnot. So, I said this. When the deal was kind of coming out, I was like, Trevor hasn't ascended into the elite quarterback conversation. He hasn't ascended into the we're going to win because of you conversation. The Jags are just banking on that he's going to. And obviously they believe that they're right. Has Tua done more than Trevor Lawrence in his career? Absolutely. Has Jordan Love done more than Trevor Lawrence has done in his career? Yeah. So that's why the Trevor Lawrence contract, I think, with the other two guys is so interesting, because if you're Jordan Love's group, you're like, our guy for 10 games last year has played better than Trevor ever has for a 10-game stretch. And so, the conversation starts above what Trevor got.
I don't know about Jordan Love.
Yeah, that one's weird to me because he didn't.
It was say that.
It was the second half of last season where he took off,
which is just like Trevor in the second half of 2022.
I don't think there was 10 games straight where Jordan Love was playing better than Trevor Lawrence. I just don't think that was the case. That one's a weird comparison to me. I think that Tua has done things consistently over a couple seasons that maybe people will say, well, he's done it more, but has he done it at the level that we've seen Trevor Lawrence create in certain moments? No, but that's why I keep saying, you just have to see it for a full season from Trevor, and no one has yet. So that's just the question mark for some people. But yeah, Jordan Love, I don't know.
And as Floyd notes on the MyBookie Digital Studio chat line, define what done more means.
Yeah.
Because Jordan Love has played less games than Trevor Lawrence.
Mm-hmm.
He has, in terms of the sample size, if you want to talk about those 10-game stretches, by sheer numbers, there's less evidence there.
Yeah.
And again, I would argue that what you saw from Jordan Love in the second half of last season is identical to what you saw from Trevor Lawrence in the second half of 2022.
Yeah.
So let's see Jordan Love this year.
Yeah.
And then we can have that argument of, has he done more?
Yeah, I totally agree. Yep. All right, time now to cool down. RJ, hit it.
Now, the cool down from the cool guys at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Fast, reliable, and honest service since '87.
Man, I'm disappointed we didn't get to Bucky Brooks's defensive comments. Yeah, we'll get to some of his comments tomorrow on the defensive side of the ball. I thought he was fantastic with Frank yesterday, especially the notion of Trayvon Walker and Josh Allen perhaps being better defensive ends than they are outside linebackers. So we will get to that tomorrow. I think now is the time, ladies, as we get ready for actual on-the-field practice, not games, but on-the-field practice. We had our 53-man projections yesterday. With Tyson Campbell officially signed, extended for another 4 years following this fourth year, yes, of his rookie deal. I'm very curious to see, do they tag Andre Sisco next offseason? Do they tag Walker Little? Is Walker Little even the left tackle this upcoming season? I think that's going to be a fascinating storyline to watch as Trent Baalke and company try to rewrite this narrative of if we draft you and you perform, we will reward you here in Jacksonville.
Yeah, I think for me, one of the things that has stood out in our conversations today, and we didn't technically point to this, but in conversation it led to it. And when you're talking about kind of leading off Ty Dunn's article when it comes to Christian Kirk and how people were in an uproar because of Christian Kirk's contract, and now what does that contract look like? Nothing when it comes in the wide receiver world. But also, Christian Kirk then had one of his best career year when it came to every statistical moment for him. And we saw it with Evan Ingram. We see Trayvon Walker do that this last year, where people were kind of underestimating what some of these guys can do. So my question now, when we're coming to this year, is a guy like Gabe Davis going to be that person? Because a lot of people were critical of that. They're underestimating how important Gabe Davis maybe was to that Buffalo Bills offense because of a Stephon Diggs or because of Josh Allen. So who's that next guy that is going to be this appreciated player that the Jags had picked up, and I'm going to just say free agency, that the Jags got in free agency, that now has a career year here in Jacksonville?
If I had told you this offseason that the Jaguars would extend Josh Hines-Allen, you'd say great offseason. If I told you they were going to extend Trevor Lawrence, you'd say fantastic offseason. If I told you they were going to get the stadium renovation deal done, what a wonderful offseason. And Prowler throwbacks and Foye Oluokun and Tyson Campbell.
Yeah.
I mean, other than getting Trevor, that offseason was wonderful. Other than that, it just feels like all the momentum is positive. And yes, that takes us right to training camp begins tomorrow. And now
Let's see it translate.
What actually happens. That's going to do it for us today. For Mia O'Brien, for Taylor Dahl, for RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks. These heels are made for talking. We will talk to you tomorrow, but don't go anywhere. XL Primetime comes up next right here on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
All over you.